Oh no, you can't hear me. Okay, now you can hear me. There we go.
No, it's you. You're the one with no sound.
Yeah. Well, that was weird.
Okay, here we go. All right. I can turn on the
fan. Anyways, how are y'all doing tonight? We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams. His name is Chris Adams. We've got a lot of fun time talking about WandaVision episode 7 tonight. So this is going to be a blast. Is this a mime show? It might be, but his back might get thrown out. So careful with that. It's a reference to episode 7. They're talking about a mime. Anyways, even though I changed that intro, had like a nice little bit of fun with that intro, just right off the top, there's going to be spoilers. If you have not watched episode 7, go watch episode 7 and come back, because there's going to be massive amounts of spoilers in this breakdown tonight. So,
quick question. Did everybody hear the intro, or did you just not hear him talking?
You didn't hear me. My mic was muted.
Perfect.
Yes. So,
nice.
Anyways,
all right.
I'll play the intro again later at the end of the episode also. So, that's fantastic. Before we jump into that, though, a part of that intro, there was a piece of that y'all heard was it was a cover of It Was Agatha All Along. That was a cover done by YouTuber Timmy Sean. Apparently he watched this episode last night and then quickly made this cover and filmed a video. There's a link in the description of this video for his YouTube video. Go over there, give it a watch, give him a like, give us a subscribe, because that cover is fantastic. So that was just a taste of it that was in that intro. So yeah, make sure you do that for him, because he will very much appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. So welcome everyone to this episode tonight. If y'all have questions, comments, go ahead and throw that over to the streamlabs.com/cinefanatics, as Vernon has pointed out. And yeah, that will be helpful. You can also send it in the super chat through YouTube, but we do prefer the Streamlabs as well. Let's go and talk about patreon.com/cinefanatics. A lot of good stuff going on over there. Coming up on Saturday the 27th, we will be doing a watch along to Coming to America right before Coming to America comes out. So hop on that tier. That is at the Dude tier. So the Dude tier on up, you'll be able to do that watch along with us. Yeah, that's going to be on that Saturday, probably around 9 p.m. Central Time. So are we all good? Everything wired together? Are we ready to continue on the show?
Side note to that, our wonderful mod in the chat there, Vernon Greene, is doing a giveaway. He's doing an actual giveaway for Coming to America. So guys, if you want to be entered for a chance to win, I believe it's a 4K Blu-ray, DVD, whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle there. If you want a chance to win that, definitely sign up on the Patreon at the $5 tier. Join us for the watch along, and you will be entered for a chance to win that. Thank you so much, Vernon, for doing that giveaway for us.
Yeah. And at the top of this, we'd like to say welcome to everyone in the chat. We do see a lot of the usual suspects. We got Vernon, we got Rachel, 14 Little Angel saying there you are, now that y'all can hear me.
There you are.
Yeah, and then we have Brett Walton saying, hey, how are you doing, Brett?
Hey.
So, yeah. Welcome to the show. So what did you think of this episode overall? I'm going to turn on a fan real quick.
I thought it was great. Let's just start off the top here. At this point, we covered it last week, every single week, every single episode, I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat, eager, ready to get it going. And man, this show has not been disappointing. It has been consistently amazing every single episode. This one, obviously, we were expecting it to have that more of that modern sitcom, that modern family, and The Office and everything, kind of shaky cam interview style. And I was just completely sucked in by it. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I love just how completely wacky this show is and how it's even gone to these far reaches. I mean, they named the episode "Breaking the Fourth Wall." Like that was just an apt name for this episode. So that right there should have told you that, besides, just the regular zaniness, there's going to be an even higher level of zaniness happening here. The fourth wall is going to get broken in more ways than one, and I'm just excited to talk about it, honestly.
Yeah. So also have in the chat Gordon Post saying, "What's up, guys? What's up with you, sir?" Yeah, a lot of new faces tonight. That's awesome. Hey, if you're new to here, if y'all mind, help us out real quick. Let us know where you found us at, where you found the stream. Be kind of cool for us to know, so we have ideas of how to invite people to come watch. I love this episode, but this episode really did hinder on basically the end of it. The ending is what made this entire episode. It was one of those, like, you look back from how the episode was going to, like you look back to how the episode was at the beginning on into where it is at the end, and it's fantastic. So yeah, I love this episode.
Yeah. I think we do what we've been doing. We can start this thing off and kind of just roll through it from top to bottom, beginning to end, and jump around and completely obliterate that whole format anyway. So let's go ahead and do this.
Let's see. If you remember last episode, basically it ended with Wanda expanding the borders of the Hex, and like Darcy's caught inside, Vision was brought back inside, a whole bunch of sword agents are becoming circus folk. All of that is happening. So that's where we're left off with this episode to see what's going on.
Yeah. It's really interesting too, because like that, the great cliffhangers that this show leaves us on, and Vernon is right here. We are definitely covering spoilers. If we didn't make that clear yet, we just want to make sure that everybody knows we are covering spoilers here. If you haven't seen the episode, you've already probably been spoiled on a little bit up top, but I just want to make that clear. Yeah, so Sword's kind of been sucked into the Hex. We're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, we got Darcy's been sucked into the Hex. So we're kind of wondering, like, going into this, what's going to happen? I mean, we have a situation where we got, Monica's over here. We assume gaining superpowers from being in the Hex. Or is all these other people who are going through the barrier, are they getting superpowers too? Is that what we're looking at here? Just a whole bunch of questions. And then on the other side, you've got, what was up with Pietro? What was up with Wanda's brother there? Is he really who he says he is? All sorts of questions. So we had that recap up top, kind of refreshing what we could definitely not forget from last week. But starting off, I love that we had the cold open here. It's a great thing, because like you get that a lot with like sitcoms nowadays. You see like that cold open that sometimes it's something that's not really connected to the rest of the episode, but sometimes it is. It's sometimes like a one-off little gag or whatnot. Office did that a lot. I've not been too familiar with how like Modern Family does their formatting of their show, so they might do that a lot as well over there.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. So that's one of the big fun things, is they get to play with that notion a little bit. They got to do the whole kids like video game systems and everything, flipping around and changing. But the real kicker here is that they are doing that interview style. So you've got Wanda sitting there in front of a camera,
who is channeling Claire Dunphy from Modern Family like perfectly. Mannerisms, hand gestures, all of that. Like, that is perfect for Claire from Modern Family.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm thinking of right off the bat is like, okay, within the world that she's created here, what is she seeing? Is there like, does she manifest a camera in front of her? Like, how is this working?
Mm-hmm.
And this maybe is a question I probably should have asked last week when the kids were kind of breaking the fourth wall with the Malcolm in the Middle stuff. But for me, like this week, it's like, okay, this is a full on like interview style. Who is interviewing her? Who is sitting in front of her right now? My mind is like blown, because like, is she just, what I think was happening is like in her head, she's imagining like sitting in front of a camera or something. And that's playing out before she can actually continue. I don't know. This show's got me completely tripped up, honestly. I have literally no idea how any of that works.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like some of the sitcoms that have done that kind of format, they've explained why. Like I believe the Office, they explained why, didn't they?
Yeah. The
Modern,
Office, it was actually like a documentary crew that's trying to capture documentary of like an everyday average American workplace.
Modern Family, I don't remember them actually explaining. And I didn't watch that much Parks and Rec either, so I don't know if they explained it on that.
They didn't really explain on Parks and Rec either.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. So this one does begin with Wanda feeling the repercussions of what she did the last episode. She's trying to impose herself on a self-contained quarantine. She finally gets up and the kids are like, "Where's Dad?" And she's like, "Well, if Dad's gone, then he just wants to be gone," type of thing. And then she goes into the kitchen. We see the milk carton is glitching, and then it just goes into the opening. So we already know something's going on, something's wrong here with this, and that Wanda really at this point doesn't care where Vision is going or what Vision's doing. So
yeah, to some degree. I mean, obviously she still loves Vision. It's it's her husband and everything, but it's a matter of like, look, he's out on his own. He's got to do his own thing. I can't. She's just accepted the fact that she can't control him anymore, essentially. Yep. And so she acknowledges he's got to do what he's going to do. But what I like about that, and let's see, what I like about that is that is that situation where she was telling the kids, where's Dad? Oh, if he wants to be home, he'll be home. I can't control him. And that right there is kind of setting up something that's going to be touched on later, in that where Vision brings up much later in the episode that I believe Wanda is keeping me from trying to get home. We find out this might not be true. Anyway, one of the things I'm curious about is, Billy brings up that his head is noisy here. He's talking to his mom in the cold open, like, my head's noisy. What's going on? So one of Wiccan's abilities is being able to read minds, correct?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. He can just hear everyone.
So yeah, he can hear everybody, but maybe because he's young, he hasn't figured out his powers much yet. He can't control it, and that's why his head is noisy. The one thing that was like kind of tripping me up about that is I know that a lot of other people in the town were complaining about essentially about Wanda being in their heads, or as far as we know at this point, it was Wanda in their heads. And so I was kind of like, wait a minute, does he have the same kind of situation happening there? But no, he's got essentially mind reading power. So he just can't control it yet. That's what he's dealing with. Yeah. I do like that, everything around Wanda is kind of breaking down. So what I'm questioning about there is that fully just Wanda losing control, or are we questioning at this point, expanding the hex causing the glitches, or is this just showing us that maybe she just never had control to begin with over really much of anything at all?
Yeah. Brett's asking here, who was on the milk carton? I was trying to figure that out, but it was too far away and her hand covered it, and I really couldn't see anything except like the top of a little boy's head. You really couldn't read or tell. But I was hoping that was going to be an Easter egg.
At this point, like, we almost imagine that every little thing like that is, but I think what it is that just milk cartons back in a certain time period had those, somebody's missing on them, and they're just kind of playing up to that that style of milk carton, like back in that time period. So yeah.
Anyways, moving on into the intro. Obviously, this intro is a very heavy nod to, like, say, The Office with its piano theme. They're showing a lot on here of everything is just all about Wanda. Wanda this, Wanda that. We got this 122822, which is it's a reference to a shield code for was it the Pulse, which was like a Fantastic Four centered event. So might be a nod to Fantastic Four. We got the I know what you're doing, Wanda. Obviously, by the end of this episode, we know who's saying this. I did look into it. Like, the N in no does have like a website address on it. It looks like www.lol.com. That doesn't seem like that's actually like it doesn't have anything to do with the show though. So
we're going that deep, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I mean, we kept getting other things like the calendar here saying Wanda. Everything happened to have Wanda's name. I don't know what Friday the 10th meant. I'm not sure what the reference was on that. I was trying to look, but can't tell. Especially because we don't have a month to correlate it with. But again, notice everything is all Wanda until the very end where we get Vision's name finally joins. Otherwise, it's all like self-centered around Wanda. And then, of course, we get the created by Wanda Maximoff below, which was a nice little nod. So,
yeah. 14 Little Angel says, could it be back to episode 1, like where the heart was over that date on episode 1?
Yeah, that was on a 23. So that was like on a Friday the 23rd. So everything keeps happening on Fridays, which is funny because that's when these episodes drop. So, yeah, I couldn't tell if there was any significance on the 10th, though.
I'm trying to think, do we have any like real world like calendar significance to this? This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at this point of the show.
Again, there's no month to correlate it with, so it's just a random Friday the 10th. So
it's like that's the date that they finally decided that that's when Black Widow's going to drop in theaters and everything.
Yeah. So in the intro plays, you do hear that same WandaVision that's been playing, except you don't hear the Vision part of it until again Vision's name appears.
Yeah, you can hear it in like the melody and the tune of the song. That just has that Wanda part playing over and over and over again as her name keeps popping up. So cute little notes there to keep track of how they put the show together.
So shortly after that, we get the first view of the episode from outside Westview. Now that the wall of the hex has been pushed back. What does Friday the 10th mean? Nice. The wall's been pushed back. We've got basically Hayward he's talking about, or he's trying to figure out what's happened since the wall has been pushed back. And he's talking to an agent.
Yeah.
So we get like the new wall, which obviously looks a lot more like a hex now.
Yeah. And I liked this little exchange that they had there because she's like, we're lucky she pumped the brakes. And he was like, yeah, I feel very lucky. And that to me, like, I just want to highlight like that was funny to me because that seemed like a very real world sarcastic response you'd give to somebody who gave like a very fake TV show sounding line. Well, we're lucky she pumped the brakes. Like that's what you're thinking. He's like, yeah, real lucky. That I think it's still up in the air as to how much Hayward's going to play in terms of like how antagonistic he is. Obviously, we know from this episode and last his desires to get Vision back and either like make a weapon or get him back online in some capacity for some reason. So it remains to be seen how villainous you could actually say he is.
But they did discover in that exchange that according to them, WandaVision has stopped broadcasting, so they can't see the new episode. But we can, which is great because that's breaking the literal fourth wall in this episode, which is a nice little nod as far as like the story point on that. Absolutely love that one. So, anyways, again, if y'all have any questions, any comments, something y'all want to share, stick them in the chat. We're highlighting the ones that we see. Any questions, specifically if you want us to pinpoint it, that's streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. More than happy to pinpoint anything that has been brought up there.
Yep. I have something here in our notes I want to highlight, but I kind of want to highlight it once we get onto the subject of Agnes later. Okay. So I can backtrack to that if I remember. I do like that, we get more questions as to who Quicksilver actually is. Who is Uncle Pete? And the kid's asking, and she's like, that man is not your uncle. So she's acknowledging that, hey, that's not actually Pietro. I don't know who that is, though. And I don't know what he's doing here, how he got here. She's acknowledging that fully that there's stuff happening that is out of her control. She has no way of knowing who these people are, what's going on, which I love because there's like a dichotomy that's happening here. The exchange that she has with Monaco later on, talking about being a villain and everything. Clearly here she's acknowledging that there's stuff happening that she has no control over, and she doesn't know how it started, how any of this happened, and she's losing control over everything around her. But then she's like questioning later on, well, am I a villain? Like, you might not be the one in control of this, so you might not be the one who we should consider a villain at this point. I just think it's an interesting dichotomy between the two thought patterns that she's having here. I don't know who Uncle is. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I am bad. I don't know what happened. She's having like a real, actual, like legit breakdown here, and I think it's fun because we obviously know there's somebody else over her right now.
Yeah. So after the outside of Westview, we do jump back into the circus where you have Darcy and Vision meet, essentially for the first time, because Darcy has no idea what's going on in her head. And so they get to meet, and then we go back to Wanda's home, where again we see like everything's glitching out. Wanda's trying to fix it. And this is where Wanda has an interesting conversation with the kids, in that the kids are wanting answers. She doesn't know the answers. She's telling them, I believe everything is meaningless. And it's like, well, that got real dark. It's a weird conversation to have with your kids, man. I'm just saying. And then, of course, like at that point, Agnes she takes the kids to help Wanda just kind of unwind. I feel like Agnes has been wanting to take the kids for quite a while now.
Yeah, and it's been the whole setup. Like we've seen like other people talk about this. We've brought it up. The whole like going back to for the kids. It's for the kids in episode 2. This honestly, even episode 1, I believe that she was looking at Wanda, and actually it might have been episode 2. Either way, she was looking at Wanda saying, sometime you're going to settle down and have kids. And she's like, oh, that's really far off, or what have you. Yeah. This whole thing, it feels like there's pieces where Agnes has been setting up. Hey, kids, have kids, make some kids. And Agnes, even to the point,
brought the dog in.
Agnes brought the dog in when the twins were crying in their cradle. She sprayed the lavender over them, kind of. Mm-hmm. She's setting herself up to be the babysitter or whatnot. And, there's a reason why she wasn't taken aback when the twins automatically like grow up and whatnot. So yeah, even to this point, she's finally got a chance to take the kids, and, we see her like saying fun little things. We get our like first real taste of, oh, Agnes, we see what you're doing here, which is the, oh, I don't bite. And then it does that fun little cutaway to her talking to the camera. I've bitten a kid once.
I think like she bit like Hansel and Gretel or whatever. She was known for eating kids in that storyline. So, Vernon, there's just some questions we're not educated enough to answer on this channel, unfortunately. So that one might just have to stay a mystery.
Yeah. There's a Patreon tier that you have to hit beyond what we have on there right now, and that's where we talk about the inner workings of synthezoid and human
reproduction. Yeah,
reproduction. That's not true. Moving on. Yeah, I like that, because we also are talking about, like, she's pointing out to Wanda, I've also got this mole on me too, and if you could take a look at that, and we typically we understand that moles are synonymously a skin condition that traditional witches have. So,
yeah. Let me see. Yeah, so Agnes, let's see, Wanda's using her powers, people without caring if anyone sees anymore, which that's interesting. She's kind of like just giving up all hope at this point.
Look, very possible.
I mean, that's a connection that we did not make before starting this episode.
Very possible.
I want to say I like this one. Does the hex field look like an over-the-air TV signal? It kind of does, actually. Like even, and it's the same. The thing is with the hex field is also what was used in the promo material, where you've got the Wanda and Vision duplicating the American Gothic painting. On the outsides of it was essentially the hex field. So that's kind of nice little nod there.
Yeah.
And now for the first big thing that we were really waiting for in this episode. We go back outside of Westview. We're following Monica and Jimmy Woo to go meet up with Monica's aerospace engineer buddy. And
we assumed
that's who they're trying to quickly get to meet. And they end up meeting this Major Goodner, who is not a character from the comics or really has anything to do with the comics at all. The closest that I've seen is like Goodner was the last name of a artist who's done taken comic book drawings and put like a political spin twist to them, a socio-political spin to them, but that's about it. And I don't know if that's actually what Marvel was trying to do with that name. So as of right now, I don't know of a real connection. I know there's the rumor that Major Goodner could just be Talos's daughter. So it could be a Skrull, which that would make sense. And it would be essentially age appropriate given that was back in Captain Marvel during the 90s. So now given the current time frame, it's possible that the little Skrull daughter could be aged up to be a major in the Air Force now. I mean, I don't know how Skrull reproduction and biology works either. That's another tier level that we've yet to create. But I mean, sorry, I'm just not up to my Skrull physiology.
That's what we call a callback.
So yeah, I do. I think that's very possible. I don't know if if we actually do see any more of Major Goodner in the rest of this show. But if we do, that's a very real possibility. I wouldn't put it past them to have like Talos still involved in some capacity. The funny thing is that we all had expectations that she was going to go meet her guy on the ridge, over the ridge, and that just seems like a line used to describe a group of people who are in the military, not quite a singular guy. It's just she's going to go meet some folks over on the ridge. So there's a lot of what I love about this show, and this is an example here, is that there's like some expectation subverting happening. And you kind of get that with, everybody's diving into each and every single little inch of this show and saying like, oh, it's going to be Reed Richards. Oh, it's going to be someone else from the X-Men universe. Oh, it's going to be, maybe it's Hank Pym. Maybe it's, somebody else. You have all of those situations and none of them are true. Everyone's theories were false. It's literally at this point, as far as we know, it was literally nobody who existed before or has any like future relevance. Again, as far as we know right now. So that's kind of the funny thing that I think you saw here. Just like in that we were told that we were going to have an hour-long episode for the last 3 episodes, and we didn't have an hour-long episode, so we had to touch on that. I mean, literally, Kevin Feige said that himself.
Yeah. So mention of loyalty means it's probably a Skrull, maybe Talos's wife. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's a really good theory that it could be a Skrull. It might be something again that we're going to be shown in a future episode where she transforms into a Skrull. Stick the R in there. Don't forget the R. Yeah.
Ghost Rider. Skull. Anyway.
Yeah. During the trip there to meet Major Goodner, though, we do get like Jimmy Woo gets the message from Darcy before Darcy got sucked into the hex, where she's passing on the information that Hayward is trying to basically weaponize Vision. He wants to use Vision as a weapon, so that's why he's tracking Vision specifically. And then from Major Goodner, they do get a vehicle that will supposedly make it into the hex. We'll find out if it does after a couple of other scene changes.
Yeah. So the next big piece is that they I believe they go into the other side. You see Vision waking up, and we're in circus land essentially. The whole sword camp turned into a literal circus, and we see Darcy's handcuffs turn into just the chains that she's locked up on that vehicle. But Vision's automatically like, no, I recognized you from a little bit ago. We had this connection here. We had an understanding. Obviously, she's thinking like, oh, he's a weirdo who's trying to ask me on a date. But he does end up like waking her up, and she's immediately back in it. Like, nope, I know what we need to do. We need to go to your place. We need to talk to Wanda. We need to do this, that, and the other.
Yep.
And for the rest of the episode, we got the Vision and Darcy side of it, which, man, I loved that aspect of the episode. I loved the two of them working together, her kind of explaining things to him and all of that. But yeah, let's see where
they escape. Vision was asking like, hey, so you seem to be the person in the know. Are my kids real? And who's this person? Who's this poser as Pietro?
Yeah.
And Darcy's like, I've got no answers. No, what was funny, what I like in that exchange is at one point, Vision was like, I've got questions. And Darcy's like, I've got answers. I'm like, this is a Radio Shack commercial. If y'all remember Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. That was the immediate thing that popped up in my head when they had that exchange. Maybe I'm too old and I know Radio Shack commercials still. That's weird. Anyways, moving on.
You all remember Radio Shack, right?
Yeah. It's like Toys R Us.
So yeah, the next piece here is that we're looking at Wanda coming back, and she's sitting there having that interview again, and somebody's like interviewing her. Obviously, off camera, we don't hear them. She's explaining why everything's falling apart and whatnot. But then we hear this voice of this guy, and he's saying, if she thinks that it's what she deserves, that everything falling apart is what she deserves, essentially.
I love this exchange too.
Great exchange, because then she's like, wait, you're not supposed to talk. But the thing about that voice is, yeah, she's looking around like, wait, you're not supposed to talk. So again, it goes back to like, it was somebody like legitimately sitting in front of her. Well, sort of, yes. That voice
we could touch upon the other half of the other side of that camera when we get to it later.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that voice was definitely modulated. If you go back and you listen to it, it definitely sounds like who we talk about later. Mm-hmm. You can tell it's been modulated and made to sound like a male voice, I guess, coming out from the other side of the camera.
The thing I like is they're showing her losing her I guess her hold over her world again. The stairs go back to like the Brady Bunch stairs. We see the return of that bird crane that when she was setting up the kids' bedroom. Yeah, so we see the crane return. I thought that was pretty interesting that they had like the flashbacks to the earlier episodes now. So now we're all like, oh, I understand that reference. That's fantastic. So
yeah, so a lot of fun stuff happening there, and then we get to our commercial break. Which, here's the thing: I'll be honest, these things have been tripping me up every single time because
you don't expect it.
While we've all gotten used to a streaming model of television where we don't have commercials unless you're like on some weird Hulu plan or something, we've gotten used to not having commercials. But I still remember when I was a kid, or I say when I was a kid, but not too long ago, watching TV from cable and not through a streaming service. Go figure, you can still do that if you didn't know. When it goes to when you get that like that big emotional break, and then the screen goes dark and it goes to commercial, I'm used to going, okay, cool, mute. I'm doing something else. I'm not really paying attention to commercials or anything. So that still trips me up even now. It cuts to a commercial. And I'm like, okay, wait, commercial's part of the show. Hold on.
you want to like skip ad?
Yeah, skip. Where's the skip ad button? Like I've just gotten so used to that in my life. But no, this was a really fun commercial, and I say that loosely as a really weird choice of words when the commercial is about depression, but the Nexus pills, which
side effects are feeling your feelings, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny, and more depression.
And more depression.
I love that. I was like, I need all of that. Not the more depression.
Except for that part. Here's the thing. There's a couple things we want to reference here. One, again, we see, a couple things. One, we see the same two actors portraying these roles again. We still have no confirmation. Are they just random other people in the town who are just stuck in this weird reality where they have to do these commercials, or are they actually like representatives of their parents? Or is their thing real within the world that isn't real? I don't know. But the other two things are the relation to what Nexus is in the comics, and then let's touch also on the Infinity Stone aspect that we brought up last week. First of all, Nexus in the comics.
So the Nexus, what it's referencing is known as the Nexus of all realities. It's basically one of the focal point doorways to other dimensions. Like y'all are familiar with this Into the Spider-Verse movie that came out, where you have like the multiple like Marvel Universe dimensions that all these different Spider-Man came from. It's like that. The Marvel Universe, we only know of one major one, the one that we all grew up with, that you're familiar with, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, they all originally came from, is the Earth 616. Sorry, I'm about to get super nerdy on this, but I'm gonna try to keep it toned down a little bit for y'all. There's other dimensions as well, other realities, and this Nexus is where all these realities can all combine, where they can all come together, a doorway to all of them. On Earth, or Earth 616, basically, the doorway is in the Everglades Swamp, and it's guarded by a character called the Man-Thing. Basically, if y'all are familiar with Swamp Thing, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. If y'all are familiar with Swamp Thing over on the Distinguished Competitions comics and stuff, Man-Thing is that. He's a swamp creature of some sort. I'm super, like, going simple with this explanation, but I could spend longer. I don't want to. I want to get back to talking about WandaVision, not Man-Thing. When we get a Man-Thing TV show, I know we've had a sci-fi movie, but when we get a Man-Thing TV show, then we'll dive into Man-Thing that phrasing. Oh, what I need to do is I need to have, where's the other ones? There you go. I need to, like, when I have these nerdy moments, just bust out. So the Man-Thing is the guardian of the Nexus of all realities. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? There will be a pop quiz on this.
He's so excited. He still hasn't really explained what the Nexus of all realities is yet.
No, I did. It's a dimensional portal, basically.
It's something that we're probably going to see more of within the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is how this show kind of leads into that, so to speak.
Think of all the portals that opened at the end of Endgame when everyone came. It's kind of like that. The portals that Doctor Strange has been sitting here opening up, or whatever he does. It's like one of those, but Doctor Strange doesn't open it. It's just it's a living portal that just exists. That's what it is.
The other relation is that I believe Scarlet Witch in the comics, Wanda, has been called like a Nexus of some sort, or like a personified version of a Nexus portal door. So
we will be getting there, Rachel. But very, very good job pointing that out.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. Mm-hmm. So there's that aspect of it. It's very interesting they bring in Nexus, because we're going to hear that word again. It's going to be used within the MCU again. As I said, Doctor Strange, probably even maybe at some point within the next few episodes of this show, we might hear it again. So it was a very interesting thing to do, especially because the point of that commercial wasn't even to necessarily talk about like alternate realities, other than just the one that, Wanda, you created an alternate reality. Are you depressed about that? And I love the ending aspect of this commercial, where it's saying the world revolves around, or doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah, Nexus, because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it?
Okay, so real quick, while you got that image up, here's the level of like depth that I'm trying to figure out.
So I go nerdy with Man-Thing. You go nerdy on this.
Yeah, you see that little, it looks like there's like a pattern or an image in the red part in the background. You guys want to know what that means? I'll tell you exactly what it means. You can put it back on us. It means absolutely nothing. I tried looking it up and I couldn't figure it out. I figured it meant something, but it means not a damn thing. Anyway, but no, so this commercial. So here's where we're at. We talked about the Infinity Stone situation where each commercial represents an Infinity Stone in some way. Last week, I feel like we were kind of getting thrown off with that because there wasn't really like anything that felt directly like an Infinity Stone reference like every other commercial prior did. This week...
Last week was the Yo Magic.
Yeah, and outside of the fact that the Shark surfboard has like a power stone, it's purple, and there's like it feels like power stone crackling, whatever. Outside of that, it really didn't feel like anything. I mean, you can talk about like that kid was the sole survivor on that island, and there's all sorts of stuff there, but there wasn't a like real like big direct reference. It felt like. Same with this week. The only possible reference I could get this week was just one more reference to the Reality Stone, which we theoretically already had with the Lagos paper towels and the red liquid being spilled over. So it didn't necessarily feel like we were getting a reference to Soul or Power Stone this week. You maybe could argue that when you're feeling depressed, it kind of feels like your soul leaves your body or something like that. You're feeling soulless and drained. You could probably argue that, but I think at that point we're looking at a stretch. So while it did seem like it was a pretty good connection throughout the rest of them, I don't know if we're really sticking with the Infinity Stone thing now. I think these commercials really just were strictly about Wanda's past and Wanda's present. Outside of the Hydra Soak was definitely the Tesseract.
Yeah, it was just a blue square. Yeah,
for sure.
It might be this might be something we just get clarification on later on as the show continues, and it might all come together. I don't know. Possibly.
Maybe we get an explanation in that 10th episode, which is really just the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
maybe they dive into that.
So moving on from the very confusing commercial. So real quick, we divvy off into Agnes's home where she's talking to the kids. Billy is saying that he likes it there because it's quiet, that Agnes is quiet. She's quiet on the inside. Nice little hint. Something's wrong with Agnes because nobody else is quiet. So nice little hint, nod to what's coming up. Back outside of Westview, we do see that Monica's trying to drive into the Hex. The vehicle won't get in, cannot get into the Hex at all. It's being blocked. So she gets out. She gets out and half of it manages to get in and gets turned into a truck. She gets out and she just decides to just walk through it herself. While she's walking through, this was what was interesting because we've been warned before that her cells are being mutated. Her DNA is changing when she goes in and out of the Hex. This is the last time that something's really going to happen to her. So as she's going through the Hex this time, not only do we see like her eyes start glowing, we start hearing like voices and stuff, as in we hear her mom, we hear Captain Marvel, we hear Nick Fury saying that like you need to glow. So really interesting there. And then of course she comes out on the other side of it and she's able to see the entire electromagnetic spectrum, which is a nice nod to her one of her character superhero names, which is Spectrum. So yeah, she has like full sight over this. She's able to channel energies throughout all spectrums of energies. So that's part of her power. She's also like the superhero Photon. She was also a Captain Marvel at one point herself. The nice thing I liked about that is her costume while she's going into the Hex here is basically black and white, which is the same as her Spectrum, Photon, and Captain Marvel uniforms. So it's a nice little nod into it.
There's a lot of fun, interesting stuff here. I mean, what I really like about this, besides it being a TV show about Wanda and Vision, obviously, is that this is like a backdoor origin story for Monica Rambeau and her character that they're introducing here that we will see more of come Captain Marvel 2. So what I'm curious about is how much they actually touch back on the events that are happening here in this show come Captain Marvel 2, because Kevin Feige, the producer over at Marvel Studios, has been very clear that he wants to keep it to where, you know, if you can only just watch the movies, if you can't dive into the TV shows, you'll still be able to follow the storylines and everything. But here we have like a character who's going to be important, who appeared in Captain Marvel before, now is going to appear in the sequel, and she's gotten superpowers off screen essentially for people who only watch the movies. Like we talk about this, let's talk about our mom. Our mom very much into the MCU, very much into the movies and everything. She doesn't have a Disney Plus account, and she's not going to get a Disney Plus account because the large majority of what appears on Disney Plus is not going to interest her anymore. She is not going to be connected with shows like this. And I'll say this, even if they did have a Disney Plus account and she was watching this show, she'd probably be lost. Being honest. So
are you talking about my mama?
I am talking about your mama.
I'm talking about your mama.
Same mom, dude. Is she going to be lost come Captain Marvel 2 when Monica Rambeau pops up? I'm the kid from the first one. Oh, but I have superpowers now. Like, that obviously remains to be seen, but I love that we're getting kind of like some time spent on an origin story for her here.
Yeah. So moving on, we've got back to Vision and Darcy. Basically, Darcy's explaining all of Vision's history, how he's made up of Jarvis with the body of Ultron, the Ultron was trying to make, yada, yada, yada. And then they get stuck at an intersection. And I love that they get stuck at this intersection because you're starting to wonder, is this something that Wanda's doing? Like, is Wanda trying to prevent them from being able to come back and really get the truth?
Mm-hmm. And then he brings it up.
Yeah.
He brings it up sitting in the chair doing like he's doing the same kind of interview style. I think Wanda's keeping me from trying to get home. And then obviously they get blocked. And I think you and I can have the same connection on this. It felt like the Truman Show. It felt a lot like the Truman Show there, which if you guys haven't seen it, Truman Show, Jim Carrey movie, it felt very much like that.
But
and then also when that happens, the shot goes to Vision, and he just gives like the most Jim from The Office look at the camera I've ever seen.
So I grabbed all the screenshots for this episode. This was my favorite one out of all of them. I will use this screenshot like in future videos. This is like all of my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I relate to this image so hard. Like I'm gonna print it out and I'm gonna take it to work. And when customers get on my nerves, I'm just gonna sit here and just hold up the piece of paper with a printout. Like
Vision Halpert is not amused
when my boss starts asking questions that I just
not amused.
Vision is not amused. I love it. That was my favorite out of all of them. That's really all. That's really all I wanted to do this episode tonight was just talk about that one image.
It's great because they really took some like the best parts about what made The Office so good, and that's the moments where Jim was our eyes into what was happening within that sitcom. And whenever something completely ridiculous would happen, and you get that moment where Jim just looks at the camera, he's like, "That's exactly what they did here," and I loved it. I laughed so hard at that moment.
I need that image to be like in much easier to click on. When we go back to doing the tagline out in the other area where we have like I have the ability to just push a button and an image pops up. Boom.
Oh no. That's going to be used against me multiple times.
I'm actually probably going to like cut him out, make him transparent. So like we'd be talking like this and he would just pop up like right here, like in between, just transparent Vision.
You know what? On
that
this
would
channel, cool. leave that in here on this channel. Every time we do a stupid joke in the past, we would like take each other off the screen. Not anymore. Now we just pop up Vision. Guys, you just heard a real time thing happening on this channel now.
Like, did you think that was funny? Boom. I love that Vision image.
All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the show tonight.
There's something else to talk about in this entire episode. We're done. Y'all have a great evening.
Bait and switch on the WandaVision breakdowns.
Who sent that in? That was really good. With the Streamlab from everyone in the chat. I thought I was here to talk about WandaVision. Good job, y'all. Good job. That was great. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Well,
Oh,
you know it's a great joke, but you know what I have to say to that?
All right, we're gonna lose viewers. Yeah, you got to click on this one now.
That's fine. I have to scroll for that. Anyway.
Moving on from that, we do have Monica's in the Hex. She confronts Wanda at her home. Wanda's not a big fan of seeing Geraldine again. So they have a nice little fight and stuff, and Monica's like, I'm not gonna fight you, and Wanda lets her go, and we get the very well-known Deadpool superhero landing. That's hard on the knees. So
at least one knee anyway.
Yeah.
I loved this exchange. I love this exchange because we see that Monica is trying to break through, and she almost does it. She almost gets there because she relates it personally. I've lost someone also, but I've had to deal with it. She had no choice but to deal with it. She has to own the pain and move on. And it's such a very real like commentary on things that we deal with when we lose loved ones. It happens. You have to push on. You have to deal with it. I love that because that was such a very real way to relate to Wanda, because obviously what we've been dealing with this entire show is that Wanda is trying to move on past the pain of having lost her husband or loved one, having lost her brother, just having lost so much in her life. And I love that we're getting those little notes, like throughout all this fun fantasy comic book stuff, we're still touching on like very real world situations like mental health and depression and how to move on from the pain of losing a loved one and all that stuff. So I love that they made that connection there between those two characters. Let's see. Oh, where were we at?
And then Agnes has to come in and just ruin it.
And then Agnes does that fun little look out the window, like, "Oh, geez, okay, hold on, this is gonna mess up. This is gonna mess up my plans." And she walked out and told her, "Bye, Felicia. Today's Friday. Give me a break." So that's that I thought was a fun little thing there. So okay, get that off the screen. Stop it. That's gonna get old quick for me. So yeah, Agnes takes Wanda and tries to bring her back up and raise her spirits again. And obviously, we don't see where Monica runs off to after that exchange. But let's see, we're back at
you got
Vision
and Darcy. They're still stuck at the intersection. Vision has that same kind of like Modern Family interview, and then realizes he's like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then he just takes off, which is funny because at one point when he's doing that, he's like sitting there explaining himself, and you see him, he's doing that nonchalant, like just doing the scratch behind his neck. And I'm like, why are androids scratching their neck?
His skin, he doesn't itch.
Androids don't itch. Synthetic robots do not itch. I should know. But he takes the lapel mic off and just buggers out of there. In the real world, he flies out of the truck that him and Darcy are in, and we don't see where he goes because we quickly jump back over to Agatha's house, where Agatha's trying to console Wanda, make sure everything's okay. Wanda happens to look up and notices that 100% officially, Yo Gabba Gabba is now a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's a weird thing to have in the MCU, but I guess it's there, and who knows? I don't know what the connection is between Yo Gabba Gabba and the MCU, but if anyone happens to know, feel free to let me know.
Wait, I just figured it out.
Right.
You didn't have the right screenshot there, but do you know how many characters there are in Yo Gabba Gabba?
No, I don't watch Yo Gabba Gabba. I'm actually really surprised that I knew that was Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, they showed 4 characters on the screen. There's 4. Guys, our Yo Gabba Gabba are Fantastic Four. Show the Vision image.
I can't find it. That's what I said. I need like. There it is.
There. Okay. Anyway,
3 days later.
It really worked. I thought you were going to be on it there.
I was trying to, but I've got so many images over here that I can't find. That's what I'm saying. I want it like easier to get to.
So yeah, this is where Wanda starts noticing things are a little bit off inside Agnes's home, because she asks her, "Where are the twins at? Where are the boys?" "Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're playing in the basement," because that's a natural place for people to play whenever they go over to somebody else's house, I guess.
We're in Texas. We don't have basements, so we have no idea. Do you actually play in a basement?
No clue.
I had a friend in Wisconsin who had a basement, and she turned it into a bedroom, and it was really nice and cold. And speaking of cold, in Texas. Anyways,
so she goes down into the basement, or before she does that, she's looking around, noticing things are off. Obviously, the rabbit is there. It's the same rabbit from the magic show, and that they did earlier. And she looks over on the other side, and you see a cicada. Now, I had to stop and think for a minute, because, like, obviously, I don't know what symbolism necessarily means all the time whenever something pops up. But a cicada, I looked it up. What does cicada actually represent? Cicadas represent personal change, rebirth, transformation. Which is great, because it's a transformation like we're about to get with Agnes here in a minute. And I thought that was like a nice little subtle touch. You really only know that if A, you already know what a certain animal or insect might represent symbolically, or B, like me, you just Googled it. So
Google, you cheater.
Google's a wonderful tool, guys. It really is. So yeah, she goes down into the basement. Now we get into just the best part of the whole episode. Besides the fact that the episode, or the basement, looked like the Upside Down from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Which, you know, does that mean that's like supposed to be a representative of like the underworld realm or what have you? Which we know from the comics. I know like Mephisto is supposed to be the head of, since he's apparently the literal devil in the comics. So we still question whether or not he's actually going to play a role in this, whether we're still making a reference to Ralph and Ralph is Mephisto kind of a thing.
Yeah. So as Wanda goes down there, and then the entire basement kind of looks like some like ancient temple type of thing with like concrete pillars. There's like skulls in cases. She looks over and there's this magical mystery book, which anyone who knows Marvel, the biggest spiritual magic book that is well known is called the Darkhold. This might be the Darkhold, but the thing is, we've seen the Darkhold before in like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and it didn't look like this, so this may not be the Darkhold, but it would make sense if it is. We don't know yet, but the camera lingered on this book for quite a while. There's that orange glow all around it. There's something important about this book that we don't know yet. So kind of interesting on what might happen with that.
That does remain to be seen now at this point, if we are still counting everything that happens in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as canon within the MCU or not. Yeah. So,
but then we hear Agnes, and she pops up with her rabbit saying, "Hi, my name is Agatha Harkness. Did you think you're the only other magical person?" And both me and my brother watching this at the same time, we're like, "Called it."
What have we all been saying this entire time?
Yeah.
Agnes could be Agatha Harkness, which is why her name is Agnes.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. Like the second I saw that, I tweeted out from Cinefanatics about the show, said we freaking knew it. Here's the thing. Like, was it really that hard to know, though? Like, I feel like this is one of those, if you knew the comics, if you were slightly familiar with it, you knew, like, from the get-go. Like, this was even a rumor before the show even started that she was playing Agatha Harkness. So, yeah. I don't think it was that well hidden, but it was a whole lot of fun to just be continually talking about it week after week. Like, oh, no, she's Agatha Harkness. So much fun could be had here. And that's what we got.
And what we have to highlight here, we have to touch on and talk about, is that Catherine Hahn once again is proving why she was such a great cast. Like, she again is killing it. And that's not to say, like, look, we've said this before, everybody on the show is killing it. I love what Elizabeth Olsen's doing. I love what Paul Bettany is doing. I love what Tiana Paris is doing. Everybody on this show, I mean, Randall Park, like literally everybody. I could mention everybody's name, but what Catherine Hahn has been doing specifically, and just how she's been bouncing back and forth between that bubbly character whenever she pops up to now where she's like, oh yes, I am Agatha Harkness, kind of a thing.
So good.
I gotta be honest, I just heard myself and it kind of threw me off. It was really good because this is a side that we haven't seen yet. And the way she said her name, the way she introduced herself, I'm Agatha Harkness, dear. Nice to finally meet you. Looks exactly like the voice that comes out. Looks exactly like the voice that comes out of that old woman, that image that you've brought up. Yeah. Looks exactly like the type of voice you expect to come out of this person who should be thousands of years old.
Well, she probably still is, actually. She's making herself look like a young Catherine Hahn.
Exactly. And so we have the new dynamic to the character now where, yeah, she's the villain. Is she the villain or is she a villain? That we still don't know. But the next thing we see is like she's waving her hand with like the purple smoke or whatever, and then we see that Wanda's got the purple eyes. So seemingly Wanda is now being controlled by Agatha. So possibly she's at least under Agatha's control. But the question remains: was she working for essentially Mephisto or even Nightmare this entire time? That remains to be seen. Nightmare, I feel like less so. And part of me, this is a wild theory too to throw out there, part of me wonders if we do get Mephisto or if we're in a situation right now where Dormammu is essentially going to stand in representative of the MCU's version of Mephisto. They don't really want to go with the literal devil of the MCU, so we're going to have a big ethereal being that we've already introduced be the effective stand-in. Yeah. And that very well could be. I mean, that really, if that's the case, that really does lead straight into the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. So off of this, we got treated to a very delightful song, along with like kind of like a little bit of behind the scenes of what Agatha's been up to. So we get like Agatha's been the one messing things up and pulling strings all along. It was Agatha all along. Starring Agatha Harkness. And this theme song is sounding very Munsters like. I mean, here we see that she's actually the one controlling Pietro. This was quite possibly one of my favorite images of the face that she made at the camera when talking to Vision. I love that. And then we got this, like we were referencing before, where she was actually the one behind the camera interviewing Wanda. So that might be why like the voice was modularized or had modulation on it.
That's what I'm saying. If you go back and you actually listen to that person speaking again, I very much feel like it sounds like Catherine Hahn just with some voice modulation onto it. So that I thought was interesting. Here's the issue though. Sparky's actually dead. What the hell? Like, she didn't need to like go off and actually kill the dog. Like, now
did she though? Because here's the thing I was wanting to point out. Like back in the episode where the dog got introduced, she's the one who introduced the dog. She's the one who took the dog away, and all we saw was that image I just saw. Like even in the episode where the dog died, all we saw was her holding the dog in this blanket. The dog could still be alive. The dog could not even exist for all we know.
Look, here's the thing. I think at this point, we are pretty solidly confirmed that Agatha is the one who's controlling literally everything. I mean, we saw her doing the little mind thing to Herb while he was chopping the edges. She's heartless. And at this point, like you got a bunch of people like in pain and whatnot. That actually reminded me, there was that other note with when Vision was meeting Darcy in the email and everything back in that episode. But when Vision woke up Norm, and you hear him saying, "Get her out of my head, get her out of my head." He's talking about Agatha. He's not talking about Wanda. And that's what we all have had some suspicions over at that point.
Why they were playing the pronoun game.
Yeah. And so, yes, Agatha giveth dog, Agatha taketh away dog. Sure. She still tooketh away dog.
The cat jumps on the bed.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing, Lola. Yeah.
Good job, Lola.
the problem here, and this is what Rachel in the comments is saying, a hypothetical killing of a hypothetical dog still demands justice. She still taketh away dog, and that is what tells me that I do believe we should trust her that she killed Sparky, and I am mad.
Yeah.
That
was a fantastic reveal. I love the fact we got Agatha Harkness. Again, we kind of briefly talked about her when we were first suspecting that she was Agatha Harkness. In the comics, Agatha is a much older witch that she kind of helps train Scarlet Witch, Wanda, who is a massively powerful person in the comics. She kind of helps train Wanda to control her power. She is more of a protagonist, an ally to Wanda, but every once in a while in the comics, she's been antagonistic. Obviously, in the show, she's very antagonistic because I don't think a good person kills a dog. So
no, and I think so. My question here is, obviously, there is a reason why. Yeah, last thing you need is Keanu Reeves to just bust through the WandaVision text wall and just rain terror. My question is, okay, the twins obviously play a role here.
Yeah.
In the comics, what was the reason Mephisto wanted the twins to begin with?
Well, it was just a way for him to everything Mephisto does, he's always trying to get souls. So it was just a way for him to control something that was able to control Wanda, essentially. So, like throughout the comics, like the big ones, he's trying to get Silver Surfer's soul because Silver Surfer is pure of heart. He tries to get Spider-Man by erasing everyone who knew like when Spider-Man revealed his identity and stuff. He took away Mary Jane, ended Spider-Man's marriage, and erased everyone's memory. So he's always trying to eat at people, basically, soul-wise. So that's essentially what he created the kids for.
So we have a situation where Wanda's super powerful and he wants access to a super powerful being's soul, and so that's why the twins exist. That's why he takes the twins. That's his whole thing with wanting Wiccan and Speed. Yeah. So my question here is, at this point, does that mean we don't even get Mephisto, and that line of reasoning actually is now attributed to Agatha Harkness instead? She wants the kids to get at Wanda's soul. She wants the kids to, help her keep youthful looking. Any number of reasons here. It really could be. So that's what I'm curious about. No, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. So
okay. Well, yeah. So then the other thing I'm curious about then, if we're going down that path, is we get to that post credit or mid credit.
I was wrapping up yet. Okay, I'll go back. So we get Agnes or Agatha reveals that she killed the dog and is all laughing, and then we get our favorite shot of every time this show plays. Goes to credits rolled and everything, and then finally we get that Marvel mid-credit scene. Which was great. Nice to finally have one in the show.
So that brings me to that other question I have, which is, who is the person that is Pietro? Is that actually the Pietro Peter from the X-Men universe? We go back to that same question. Is he actually pulled from that alternate reality? Is he Ralph? Is he Mephisto? Is he nobody? Is he still the corpse of the Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver, just reimagined with a different face? Who is he? He has super speed, so he's been given super speed somehow.
Yeah, maybe. So, like in the mid-credit scene, we get Monica's snooping around. She looks down in the basement, sees those same roots that are now purple, and then she gets startled by this Pietro, who tells her like Snooper's gonna snoop. The thing is he doesn't look like Pietro. He doesn't have the white silvery hair. It's back to like a very dirty blonde. He's not wearing like any Quicksilver-like clothing.
No, but he does have those jagged marks on that sweater he's wearing. It's blue, and it does have the jagged like lightning bolt pattern on it.
And yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a tie-dye type of thing. But it's the thing that interests me is his phrasing of the Snooper's gonna snoop. It's the same type of mannerism in his tone that he was using before. So could it still be the same person? What's going on with him? Maybe he really is like Pietro, but now he's just been brainwashed by Agatha. We really couldn't see his eyes, even though after his interaction with Monica, we now see that her eyes are also purple, meaning she's also under Agatha's control. So
that tells me at this point our hero to break them out is going to be Vision. He's the only other one, and he's probably somebody who isn't going to be able to be under anyone's control because he's a synthezoid.
Yeah.
I do like this. Rachel brings this up. Can it be that Agatha is the one not living her truth? Is Ralph dead and she needs Wanda to bring him back? That I think could also be a very real situation. It'd be an interesting way, like for the series to go for the series to end, because this is going to be a one and done series. This is the only season of the show we're going to get. So, to have that kind of like character development and it kind of come back around, and man, the character development like being brought to Wanda here. I said it before. We talk about like all the pain that she was in and having to deal with it and push through it and understand that's the truth. That's her truth now. That is her life, her existence now is understanding and pushing through that pain. I think there's a lot to be seen still for this show. I mean, we obviously got, 2 more episodes left to go. So I think, what do we think? This next episode, Vision's going to come by, find them and kind of break them out. I think Vision's going to find them, but he's not going to realize that anything's wrong with them until probably the later half of the next episode. The next episode, I expect to find out a lot more of like, what's the motive, the actual motive behind Agatha Harkness? Like, why is she trying to manipulate Wanda and everyone? And what all actual control does she have? Because obviously Wanda was under the impression that she was controlling all of Westview. Mm-hmm. So what is it that Agatha's controlling, and why does Wanda think that that Wanda still controls it? Like, what's going on here really with that? So that's what I'm expecting the main part of this to be. And then going back to the question of, was that Major Goodner really the aerospace engineer that they were trying to meet up with, or was she just a connection for Monica, and there really is someone else still out there? And then what is Hayward doing as well? Because Hayward's still trying to weaponize Vision. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are pretty dead on the money. I bet the aerospace engineer is Reed Richards, but they're not going to actually full on introduce him here. They might name drop him in one of these last 2 episodes, but I don't think we see him. I think we just get a reference to some of this stuff come when a Fantastic Four movie actually happens. So I think that's the situation we're looking at there. We know that at some point there's going to be this battle within the town. Vision and Wanda are defending their home. We saw this in the trailer. So at some point, at some point we're going to have a standoff, a showdown situation. We don't know if that's with Agatha and what have you, or if it's with Sword and what have you, or everybody just all at once at the same time, and it's just a all-out brawl. I don't know, but we got 2 more episodes of this show, guys, and man, this thing has been a ride. I am eagerly anticipating this next episode, because for every episode, every single time, no matter how many questions they answer, they give us like another 30 questions to ask. I'm excited just to see how it wraps up.
So we're gonna start wrapping up this episode tonight. I feel like I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. So if y'all have any more questions, anything else y'all want to drop in, you still drop them in Streamlabs, and if you want to post in the chat as well. For example, what do we think Hayward's going to launch? I don't know. Like, I'm not exactly sure what all we know. He's tracking Vision, but I don't know what he's planning to do from there. This is like the underpants gnome, where it's like, first gather underpants, 2, 3 profit. It's like, first get Vision, 2, 3 weapon. I don't know how he's. And there you go.
I can't scroll up fast enough. I just wanted to flash it up. Leave me alone. I'll get it.
Yeah, I don't know what Hayward's trying to do or wanting to do with that. So,
yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting thing to see. I have no idea, because like everything that they've tried, even the aerospace engineer couldn't come up with a truck situation to get through the barrier. So I don't know what Hayward's got up his sleeve, what he's thinking he's gonna be able to do. Is he gonna like flip a switch and automatically like have control over Vision in some way? That seems unlikely. Maybe probably should have done that already. I have no idea. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what role Sword plays for the rest of this.
Yep. Anyways, that looks like that's about it. So let's start wrapping this up. Yeah, Chris, where can we all be found?
Where can we all be found? We can all be found on the interwebs at various locations where media is socialized. And that would be Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at Cinefanatics MLP right there. You can also find me at Chris Adams MLP. You can find him at Robert Adams MLP. And the other places that you can find us and kind of figure out what all's going on is that you can jump on the Patreon. There it is right up there. Patreon.com/Cinefanatics. We're doing all sorts of fun stuff over there. We've got the Discord. We're building a community that loves movies, loves to talk about movies. And honestly, we'll want to talk about these shows as well there. That you can get access to that Discord. You can jump in and do our monthly watch-alongs. I know this month we are doing Coming to America in celebration of the sequel Coming to America. That's not confusing at all. Hitting Amazon. You can come hang out with us, watch Coming to America 1 with us, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. You also, again, be entered for a chance to win Coming to America. Our dear moderator, Vernon, has put that up as a prize for something that you can win if you jump on that tier and join the watch along with us. So that might be worth it for you to jump in at that tier just to get your hands on that combo pack there. So there's that. You can also join us for movie trivia nights. We do those once a month right now. Those will probably be ramping up even more, and we'll end up doing more than once a month. But right now we have one specific dedicated day every month that we're just hanging out and doing movie trivia, and that's going to be at the Maverick tier on our Patreon. So if you want to come in and test your knowledge in some movie trivia and test us in our knowledge, because we're going to need that here coming up soon too, you can do that at that tier level. It's a lot of fun. We had a bunch of people hanging out with us this past Wednesday. We were doing it, and ask any one of them. They'll tell you it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun stuff to quiz over. So that's going to be worth jumping on and hanging out as well. Everything else, there's other stuff out there. Why don't you tell them about that other stuff?
So there is the other stuff, but I did miss 14 Little Angel did had a question. She was asking, can that devil guy, Mephisto, be able to change, or can he change and use it? He is able to shapeshift and use their abilities. So he did that in the comics as well. And then I've heard some people think might have something to do with it. I know Wonder Man's name has been mentioned a couple of times in connections with this. It's just a matter of Nathan Fillion being available, because he's technically Wonder Man in the MCU. So yeah, we'll see. I would like Nathan Fillion to be brought back in. We can talk about that, or Wonder Man. We can talk about Wonder Man's connection to Wanda and Vision next week, because there's definitely a huge sticky situation involving all three of them, and that'll be kind of fun and almost PG-13 going into rated R to talk about. So, yeah, we'll save that for next week. Nice little cliffhanger for y'all. Otherwise, you can find us Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. That is 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We are doing the Tagline. That is the show where the tagline is the title. That's our flagship show where we talk about movies, movie news, movie-related content. That is on Tuesday nights. So come back this coming Tuesday night for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of good discussions usually happen on there. We also do ranking videos. We just released our ranking video of the top 6 Muppet movies that are currently on Disney Plus right now, because they also just released the old Muppet Show episodes, which I've already watched a couple of those. They're fantastic. I love them. Just nice classic nostalgia. So watch our rankings for that. Muppet movies. We did the rom-coms the week before for Valentine's Day. We've got MCU related top streaming network platforms of 2020. All of those are available to see. So all good stuff right there. And also movie trailers. We just dropped movie trailers for Mortal Kombat and Cruella over the past couple of days. So those are also available on this channel to watch.
I'm tired.
Anyway, yeah. Anyways, as for this video, make sure you drop us a like. Give us a comment if you're watching this on a replay. What were your thoughts, feelings, and opinions of the episode and of this recap? Also, share this with your friends and family. Let people know that you enjoyed watching this video. Say, hey, you want to know about WandaVision? You want a deep dive? You want to hear from someone who knows the comic book lore that this is all coming from? Check out these guys. Check out the Cinefanatics. That's how we grow this channel. And also, of course, make sure you drop us a subscribe because that definitely helps. So, anyways, thank everyone for being here. All of y'all in the chat, thank y'all for being here. It's been a fun time. It's been a blast. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Make sure y'all come back again next Friday because next week's episode is going to be awesome as well. I'm just going to take a guess here. I can see the future and it looks amazing. And yes, I'm losing my voice. So, thank y'all for being here tonight. Thank y'all for playing along, watching with us. As for my brother, as for myself, thank y'all for watching. We will see y'all next week. Let's play that intro again because that was a fun intro. See y'all next week. Good night.
See ya.